Yeah, I believe in you. I don't believe in lucky sevens. I'm not sure about my mess, but I know I believe in angels. I believe in happiness.
Good evening, everybody. It's so wonderful to see you. I've thought about this so many times, and I think about it and I'm like, nah, I don't want to do that. There's so many show hosts that look the same all the time. I'm not one of those creatures. And I was sitting here looking at the pictures of the intro, and it's like, us girls get to have so much fun. We can change up our makeup, we can change up our hair. It could be curly, it could be straight, it could be wavy. It's just so fun. And I hope that you're having fun this evening. Thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure that you do like and subscribe on social media and on YouTube, and check us out on Amazon Prime. So tonight I have a really fantastic guest. I cannot wait to get into that conversation. And I so love the guests on this show that just brave it, right? They don't have a whole set of questions that I have to stick to, and we get to have a really true, organic, authentic conversation. And it's just so nice. Two for Tuesday. Hi, Michael. How are you? He is a wonderful viewer of the show. He is connected with us for a second time this evening. So I would like to talk about our sponsor before we get to our lovely guest this evening. And I have the Nun products. So Nun, spelled N-U-U-N, and their website is Nun Life. They have an immunity package, and they also have a hydration package. And I really, truly love it, because this time of year, those kitties, they will bring around the spring flu. They're going to bring around the stomach flu. And let's hope that they don't, because I'm so sick of it. But if they do, go check out Nun Hydration. Nun Immunity is really packed full of a bunch of wonderful immunity boosting vitamins and hydration for you. So you can find their products pretty much everywhere. Look at this. My card has been updated, my little cheat card right here. So it's nunlife.com. That's NUUNLIFE.com. There it is down at the bottom, so that you can write it down, but don't go anywhere, because we have a great show. It's also available at Amazon, Walmart, Publix, Kroger, Walgreens, and so many more places. But if you go to nunlife.com, you will get it's 25% off and free shipping on your first order. So you might as well go try it. They have wonderful flavors. They have these great little energy drop-ins, which is, oh, look at that, Elizabeth. I'm going to do it upside down, which is really fantastic for on the go. You can pop this in your gym bag and get a little kick there. Hello, Johnny Rizzo. How are you? We got Rizzo in the house. So you might be wondering how much caffeine is in one of these tablets. It's 80 milligrams of caffeine per serving. That's just slightly a little under a full cup of coffee, right? But the flavors are really, truly great. Berry Bliss, Ginger Lime Zing, Tropical Punch, Watermelon Burst, and many more. And those vitamins I was talking about, B12, B6, caffeine sourced from green tea, and 20 milligrams of ginseng. It's vegan, gluten-free, and absolutely great for your everyday. So make sure that you check out nunlife.com, or at your local grocery store. It sounds like it's available everywhere. Let's see what Johnny's saying. I've got you back on Mayhem again. Yes, Motorcycle Mayhem right there, Johnny Rizzo. Good to see you. All right, so let's talk about the guests that we have. So we have Julie Karn with us, and Julie has been dancing since age 2 and has trained under an endless array of professional dancers and choreographies. Having began her professional dance career at a young age of 14, Julie has danced and featured in an array of television shows, films, music videos, and live performances, working with renowned choreographers such as Tanisha Scott, Luther Brown, Chris Scott, the Squared Division, and Michael Riccio. I hope I'm not butchering that name. I'm so sorry. And many other talented individuals. She has been fortunate enough to work with many successful artists and actors, including Nick Jonas, Jason Derulo, Cascada, Sean Desmond, Serena Ryder, Kira Isabel, Casey Roberts, and the Live Revolution, artists from the Next Star, and many more. In addition to her commercial work, she also performed in a number of live performances, including the MMVAs with Nick Jonas, numerous galas, and even a tour of China for the Dear Life Asia Tour with artist Danny Fernandez. As both a dancer and choreographer, Julie also had the opportunity to dance in the Netflix series Grand Army and Disney film Sneakerella. For the past 9 years, she has additionally been an ID ambassador for an American magazine that spotted her taking classes in Los Angeles called Inside Dance Magazine, which allows her to share her passion and knowledge of dance with students across North America. In addition, her professional dance career, she has completed her MSc in Human Health and Nutritional Sciences at University of University of Guelph. I'm going to have to ask her if that's what she's laughing. She is laughing. I butchered that, and I'm so sorry. Along with her HBA in kinesiology at Wilfrid Laurier University, she is currently in school to become a chiropractic doctor by 2025. She has also balanced a professional soccer career that has taken her to the top division in Germany and most recently Tel Aviv, Israel. Having gained plenty of dance and life experience over the years, Julie is always eager to share her passion, energy, and knowledge of the arts to the upcoming generation of dancers. And without any further ado, Miss Julie Karn. How are you, Julie?
Hello. Great pronunciation, first of all. That was fantastic. Thank you so much for having me, Elizabeth. So nice to be here.
Oh, I am so thrilled to have you. You know, there are so many multi-talented actors and actresses out there, but from your perspective, starting in dance, and I guess maybe I should back that up first. Did you start with dance or did you start, I'm assuming with dance and not soccer at two?
It's kind of a difficult thing to pinpoint because growing up, my sister was she was in dance classes always, and she's 5 years older than me. So I grew up going to the dance studio, watching all of her classes, being outside the door trying to imitate everything that she was doing. So started taking classes at the age of 2, but started trying it well before that, I'm sure. And then when it comes to soccer, my dad was actually a soccer player. So same thing, I just tried to imitate everything that he was doing. So again, started playing soccer at a really young age as well. So both kind of huge passions from a very young age, and just tried to balance them throughout my entire life.
Oh my goodness. You must have the most fit legs between soccer and dance. My goodness.
I try. It's hard because one is very much you need to be flexible and able to bend a little bit more. Whereas when it came to soccer, everything was quick and tense. So definitely had my fair share of injuries, but it kept me in shape for sure.
Oh my goodness. So did one, so you have dance and you have your dance world, and then you have soccer and your soccer world. Did dance, were they concerned about these injuries? Because when you're injured, you kind of have to take time out of both, right?
Yeah, absolutely. There was always the conversation with my parents because they were so supportive. So it was always, whatever you want to do, we're going to support you. We'll drive you all the way to Bolton or all the way here, there, like 2 hours to get to soccer practices or an hour and a half to get to dance 5 days a week. But they always said, it's up to you. If you want to do both, we support you. Whereas my teachers and coaches weren't always as supportive because they obviously want you to be just all in with whatever they're doing.
Wow.
So yeah, it definitely didn't go over well whenever there were injuries, but I was young, so I healed fast. It was okay.
Well, yes, that is good. The young definitely do heal very quickly. My daughter has a friend who plays lacrosse, and she broke her collarbone. And I'm
Yeah.
thinking, oh, I've heard how long of a recovery that is and how painful that is. And this kid, man, she bounced right back. They went in there and they
Oh,
put
good.
screws in it and put it back together. She was playing lacrosse in like, I don't know, a month and a half, 2 months. Like, I mean,
Oh
it
my
was
gosh.
quick, really quick.
That is really quick.
You do
When you're
heal.
young though, you're
Yeah,
pliable. Yeah.
exactly. You're pliable. So did you have like a favorite? Did you ever have a point in your life where you're playing soccer now? You've been dancing for a while and you're like, I think I want to focus on the soccer more and maybe give up dance. Like, did you ever have that feeling?
To be completely honest, I used to get this question all the time of which one. If you had to pick right now, which one are you picking? And I always said I can't decide that. When I'm out on the soccer field, like 100%, I'm like soccer, soccer all the way. And then as soon as I'm in a dance studio or doing a performance, I'm like 1,000% it's dance, no question. So my whole life, I was able to balance them both, but there was a turning point. I was probably 18 years old, and it was my summer in between university, and I had the opportunity to go out and actually train with a team in England. So a professional team in the top division there, just go out and kind of get to experience the next level of soccer abroad. And after that summer, I decided, you know what, I've done a lot of professional dance jobs, like I have accomplished a lot already. Maybe it's time that I really try to reach that professional status in soccer as well. So around 18, I would say, I kind of flipped the switch and said, you know what, all my training now is going to go into soccer. Not all of it, I shouldn't say that. I was still dancing, but just my main focus at that point became soccer. And I set new goals and wanted to go play in Germany. And yeah, so that was probably when I made that switch.
And what position do you play?
So I've played all over. I would classify myself as a winger, but I've also played like fullback, striker, pretty much anywhere. I'm not like versatile player that it's like wherever you need me, I'll go there.
That's awesome. My son, it just eats, lives, breathes soccer, and
Oh
he
yeah.
loves the position of striker. And
Striker, yeah, there you
you know,
go.
for him at his age, he's a preteen boy. That's like the glory hound in him. Like,
Yeah, you got to score all the goals. That's the one
right,
everyone's looking at.
right.
Does he want to play professionally as well?
I don't know if he does. I mean, but he loves it. So I've always been watching each one of my kid and thinking, oh gosh, they're always twirling, they're always dancing. I have one of those. And she wants to do it at least into college, if not professionally.
Oh,
And
awesome.
she picked it up, the first dance class she took when she was young, like she just grabbed onto it and that's her thing. So I'm
Yeah.
always waiting for them to have their thing.
Mhm.
And out of the five of them, there's three. There's dance, and then tennis is the other guy, and my littlest guy is soccer. And it's like they have grabbed onto that, and that's all that they want to do.
Yeah.
So I would love to see it. How about your parents? Like, were they really excited to see you play, especially once you were training under professionals?
Yeah. So my parents are honestly my biggest fans. Like they flew out to Germany when I was playing there. So just to see it, like I think they only managed to see one or two games while they were there, but we have German heritage. So the fact that I actually got to go play pro there and that was my first professional contract was just kind of the icing on the cake. So they were very excited. They repost everything that my sister and I do, whether it's dance or soccer or school accomplishments. So yes, they were super excited just to see that all that hard work and just overcoming all the people that maybe say like, no, you're not good enough to go play soccer professionally. Just putting all of that aside and putting all my effort into it and accomplishing it, they were really happy for me.
Okay. So now I'm going to say are you still 18 or did this take some time? Like,
Oh, thank you. Do I look 18?
no. I
I'm
think
just kidding.
I meant in the storyline. I'm so sorry. Even though,
Oh.
yes, you could still pass for 18, 100%. But I meant by the time you're playing in Germany,
Yes.
what age are you at that point?
I would have been 18. I don't know. I think I was 22, 23, maybe 23 at that time. So I ended up coming back. I went through my undergrad at Wilfrid Laurier University. It's Canadian English. It's like the French Laurier. So Wilfrid Laurier University, did my kinesiology undergrad there. And for 2 summers, I continued to go over to England and just train during my off season. And then I had a couple more serious injuries. So I actually had a pretty bad concussion that had me out for an entire year where I wasn't able to train or play or anything. And then managed to come back from that and played varsity at the University of Guelph, which is where I did my master's in human health and nutritional sciences. And at that point, it was actually through a connection that I met in a previous summer that reached out to me and said, look, do you still want to do this? I'm looking for a winger. I'm willing to sign you. Do you want to come out to Germany and play? So yeah, around 23, 24. I'm not sure the exact time.
Oh, wow. Now, with the concussions, you weren't able to dance either, right?
No, yeah, it was very hard because you're so used to having those outlets. And again, when it's your passion, like going and taking a dance class to let off some steam, or creating choreography, or teaching, or going to the gym, even going for a run, I couldn't do any of that. So it was definitely a really difficult time, a tough recovery, but we're better now, so it's okay.
Oh, that's wonderful. I mean, if it doesn't kill you, it makes it stronger,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
You come back so much stronger when you go through something like that. And I think the perspective is great, isn't it? It's, something becomes so normal and so regular and like, oh yeah, I can do this. I know I can do this. But then
Yes.
you get knocked down a notch and it's like, I'm so grateful for what I have done and what I'm gonna do again.
Absolutely. It remotivates you. You start taking things for granted, and then that sparks something, and you're like, oh my gosh. Like every time you go to a dance class, dance it like it's the last class you're ever going to take. Anytime you step onto the field, same thing. So it definitely did put things into perspective.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
All right. So how long did you play soccer professionally and then get back into dance and started booking gigs within, being a professional dancer? Where's the
Mhm.
timeline on that?
Yeah, so I started doing, as you said, professional dance jobs at the age of 14, and they were just kind of scattered all throughout high school, university. Um, I did jobs before I left for Germany, and then COVID actually hit. So that cut my first season playing professionally short, and I had to come back. Fortunately, during COVID, I think it actually happened, the Sneakerella Disney film that I was able to be a part of. Um, it was my first time doing any sort of dance job with COVID restrictions, which was insane, which, like, rightly so, everything needed to be super strict.
Right.
But I had to drive to Toronto like every other day for COVID testing. We had to stay like so far apart from each other, which, if you've ever been on set, like, all the dancers are so close knit. We're all joking around, like eating food together, freestyling, doing whatever, just filling all that free time that we have. So trying to keep everyone separate, and being so strict with everything, wearing masks all the time. It was really interesting to go through.
Yeah, I'd love to learn a little bit more about that because I had an actress on. It was, let's just call it 18 months ago. Okay. And so she said, yeah, I was just on I believe it was a Universal set, and they had these lanyards. And it was either a green light or a red light. So it was like this LED sort of lanyard badge type thing. And she
Yeah.
said, if you're too close, the lights turn red. And that's how all the ADs and stuff, like they could, the PAs and everybody else are like, okay, spread apart. So they would turn green if you were the
Oh, yeah.
appropriate distance away from other people. And she's like, it was so hard because we're huggy people, we're close
Yeah.
talkers. And,
Yes.
so tell me about that experience. You're under COVID protocols
Yeah.
and you're dancing for a production.
We didn't have fancy lanyards. That's a really good idea. That's pretty cool. We just had like separate tables that everyone had to stay at, and like divided chairs that were the set amount of distance apart, had to have masks on the entire time. Um, Fortunately, all of our costumes had pockets because they'd basically say, like, we're about to roll. You quickly take your mask off, put it in your pocket, do your little dance, put the mask back on. Like it was a very interesting, like I said, just something you would never think would happen. But I mean, that was the whole COVID situation. So yeah, they adjusted really well, and we were still able to get the job done.
Well, that's great. But
Mhm.
I'm still trying to put this together through my head. Like, so did they just take everything out of choreography so you never touched each other?
I'm trying to think of this one. Yeah, like I don't think, you know what? No, I think because we went through the COVID testing, it was okay. I think the masks and everything were just more precaution, and it wasn't during the very first wave. I think it was during one of the second or third waves, so it wasn't when everything was completely shut down. So it was a little bit more relaxed, but still different than what we're used to, that's for sure. I'm glad that's not the situation anymore, because
Wow.
dancing, training, going to the gym, all of that stuff with a mask on was not very much fun.
No, no. You know
Yeah,
what? I just bought equipment and I put it in my house because there was
so
no
smart.
way that I could try to breathe through a
Yeah,
mask and you're like hyperventilate. Like, no.
yeah, yeah. No, I feel ya.
All right, so we've talked about Sneakerella. You've done so many different productions, and you've been in so many different things. And I mean, it seems somewhat obvious if you sit here and think, "Oh my gosh, well, you've been booking projects since you were 14." That's an amazing amount of time to be able to pick up things. And goodness, how do you prepare for all of it? How do you play soccer and also nail your choreography and remember everything and be fresh for it? What do you do in your diet, in your healthy life routine?
Yeah, that's a good question. It's definitely a balancing act. I find myself, I've always thrived when I'm busier or when I'm like fully booking myself. So um, I love to go to the gym. Like I try to go pretty much every day, whether it's taking a dance class, going to soccer practice. I also love like lifting weights and doing HIIT workouts. I'm on a new like yoga and Pilates kick. So those are my new thing right now that I'm really enjoying.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, just staying sharp. I would honestly just say it's the reps, like getting the repetition and the practice in. So not showing up to set and not being prepared, like that's just not acceptable, obviously. So whether you have to stay up late or stay at rehearsal longer, just putting the hours in and making sure that you're fully prepared and ready to go. I think that's probably the biggest thing that I would say for being prepared and still making sure that you're being successful every day that you step into whatever role, whether it's soccer or dance.
Sure. So
Yeah.
what are the foods that you like to eat? What keeps you, I mean, of course, we always have those guilty pleasures, right? But I mean the foods that if you were to give some advice to people out there that are young, but they're upcoming professional dancers, what is some of the best, like your top 5 picks of things that you eat that sustains that energy and is just really good for you?
Yeah, so I will say, full disclaimer, I fully believe that every person is different and their body requires different nutrients. So I actually worked with a naturopath to kind of figure out my body needs, and I put more time into that just because I was going through different injuries. Yes, chocolate. Um, but I will say, right now, I'm actually doing more of a plant-based focused diet. Not fully. I still love a good steak, love a good chicken breast. But I just so I can meal prep and it's a little bit easier. I typically do like some sort of grain, whether it's rice or quinoa. I love to do some tofu or like I said, chicken is a really good one as well. And then I just honestly love vegetables. I know that sounds ridiculous, but like if I'm not having a salad or broccoli or cauliflower, those are probably, yeah, just like a well balanced diet. And then guilty pleasure would definitely be popcorn. I'm a little bit obsessed. It's bad.
Like flavored popcorn or just air pop?
No, literally just air popcorn, butter and salt. When people try putting other stuff on it, I'm like, don't ruin it. It's fantastic just the way it is. It doesn't need it.
I know. That's one of my favorites as well. I would have to agree here with Ken. Yes. Now I have, as I've gotten older, I've gotten away from all the bad chocolates. So it's like the 85% cacao, dark chocolate.
Yeah.
Love it. Love it, love it, love it. But okay, well, cool. Well, thank you so much for sharing that bit of it.
Yeah.
It's a little bit of a random question, but I think, it can help some people out there, especially when you're talking about being a professional dancer starting at the age of 14. Most 14-year-olds, at least in America, they don't have very good eating palates. Let's just call it,
I was lucky. My parents were like, again, my dad's an excellent cook, so they would prep food for us so that we could take it to dance class and have it on our breaks. So we were always eating like a home cooked. Like they definitely spoiled us. So
wow. Oh my gosh, that is absolutely amazing. Now, we had mentioned in the green room, you were talking about your O1 visa.
Yeah.
You tell me a little bit about that process.
Yeah, it's stressful. I'm also going through the expedited version, so it's very quick, very rushed, very stressful. But basically, if you have a job opportunity in the States, being from Canada, we're not allowed to just come and work there. So I'm going through the process of trying to get an O1 visa, which requires deal memos from the people that I'm going to be working with, just to basically confirm that like I'm coming there to actually work and make money and add some sort of benefit to your country. So that's what that whole process is about. I'm working with a lawyer at the moment, just kind of gathering all the evidence, which is hard because going back and trying to find old pay stubs and old video links, it's just a very tedious, time consuming process, but I know it's going to be totally worth it. So I'm just looking forward to once that's all done and it's all approved, and then I'm good to come on over.
Well, it's definitely worth it for us to have you here. And I know you have so many people that believe in you, and you've been signed to an LA agent.
Yes, I did just last week. Thank you. Thank you so much.
So who is it? Tell us about the experience. What happened?
Very exciting. So my sister actually signed with them as well not too long ago. So she helped me set up the meeting with them off of a referral. I sent over my headshot and my highlight reel and everything, and they agreed to meet with me while I was actually in LA visiting with my sister. So I was only there for a week, and they managed to squeeze me in. Went into the boardroom, got to meet the most lovely group of powerhouse women that work at Clear Talent Group. They were so lovely, so supportive, so helpful. And yeah, they offered to sign me on the spot. So I was just so excited and so ready to get going. And yeah, I'm really excited to be working with them because they seem like they really, really care about all of their dancers and really fight for them. So I think it's going to be a great process.
That's amazing. You've done so many amazing projects and amazing jobs. Do you have like a bucket list of some of the projects that you really like would love to be on?
So many, to be honest. Oh my gosh. Right now, the main thing that's on my bucket list is to work for a choreographer named Charm LaDonna. She basically is the most, in my opinion right now, she's like the most sought after choreographer in LA, working on some of the biggest projects. So she's doing like the Weekend tour. She did the Kendrick tour. She's just an exceptional choreographer and seems like a lovely person all around. So working with her would be incredible. Artist list, honestly, I just, a world tour would be an absolute dream. But yeah, there's so many people. I don't know.
Well, tell us about your time in China. What was that like?
Oh yeah, it was a very interesting experience. Such a culture shock, I'll say. Just being that was my first time ever going to China and kind of being that far overseas. So it was really cool. I'm very grateful for the experience. My sister and I actually choreographed the tour for Danny Fernandez, and then we were the two dancers for him as well. So we were kind of going from venue to venue. We got to see a little bit of China while we were there. So some of the really cool, like giant mountain Buddhas that they have that are just breathtaking. Got to try the food, which is not like Chinese food that you get when you go out to a restaurant, but it was still lovely. Just kind of like it was, like I said, a culture shock. Going there and not being able to communicate with people was eye opening. But all in all, it was just a really, really fun trip. I was only 18 or 19 when I did that too. So at a young age, it was cool to travel as well.
Mhm. What do you need to have within your personality to be on a tour like that? Like, what is there anything that really would push a person um, to where maybe it's difficult and it's good? So if somebody's watching saying, I want to do that, I want to be just like Julie. I want to, I want to, I want to. What are some things that you could tell the younger generation that you have to be prepared for this or that?
I would say the hardest thing for me whenever I'm traveling is just being away from like your comfort place and being away from home and your loved ones. So I would say just to keep that in mind whenever you're making that decision. I do feel it's worth it. And once you're out there and you get comfortable and adjusted, it's obviously fantastic. But I would say to anyone that is doing something like that, just to give yourself the grace period of maybe 2 weeks, 3 weeks, even a month, just to let yourself be sad sometimes or let yourself miss home sometimes and just maybe realize like this is what I really wanted, this is what I wanted to do, but now I'm here and I don't feel completely happy. I might feel kind of sad, but I would just say that that's completely normal because it's just an adjustment being away, but it's totally worth it. um, yeah, I think maybe that.
I love what you said there. You know, it seems like we've gotten into a period of, um, you know, if you feel a little sad, you go to the doctor and you get something so you don't feel sad anymore. And it's like, that's not always the answer. A lot of times it's just a process.
Yeah.
Have to allow yourself time to process things, and that's a lot of what I heard that you just mentioned, and it's so healthy and it's so balanced. What great advice. That's really
Oh,
fantastic, Julie. Um,
thank you.
you were in a project called The Next Star, and this airs in Canada, correct?
Yes, it did. Yeah.
All right. So anybody who's watching who isn't in Canada, tell us a little bit about The Next Star and what it is.
Yeah, so just to keep it simple, I would say think of like American Idol in the States, and it would basically be the kid version of that in Canada. So they were looking for the next child star, basically. So any musician, vocalist that was looking to kind of make it big. And they went through a whole interview process, auditioning process, and then went through various phases. And then they ended up having the winner of the next star.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
So, if it's a singing contest, were you dancing? Were you singing?
Good
What
question. I should have clarified that. So yeah, throughout the process, as I said, with the various stages, at one point they needed to create an original song and music video. So I did 2 different seasons where I worked with different artists, and during that process of creating the music video, I was one of the dancers for that. And then they actually did a live finale with the final four where they sold out a big stadium and they got to perform their original song live for this huge audience for the first time. And again, I was able to perform with one of the artists doing that. So it was a really, really fun experience. I think working with younger generations is always so fun because they have so much energy, so much excitement, and getting to see them perform live for their first like sold out stadium is cool to be a part of.
That's awesome. That's,
Yeah.
I gotta ask you about being a commercial dancer. So, in my understanding, commercial dancer means that you have 100% proficiency in many different styles of dance. Is that true?
100% is very generous, but that's what we strive for.
Okay.
I am technically trained and danced at a studio up until the age of 18, where I did like jazz, tap, ballet, hip hop, lyrical, contemporary, acro, like all of those fun things. And now, yeah, being a commercial dancer, it's just about having the versatility with whatever the job might require. You're proficient enough in that that you can take on that role. I will say I focus more so now with like hip hop or street style and jazz funk, just because those are seen more in commercial work, I would say. But I do try to keep up with my technical work as well, just so I am able to do a wide variety of jobs.
Well, okay. So you touched on my next question, which was what's casting right now? So it is pretty heavy with hip hop and jazz. Um,
Yeah, I would say hip hop for the most part, just because I feel like it's kind of big and flashy and exciting to watch. So most of the music videos and live performances that I've done have mainly been hip hop, if I'm thinking about it, or some sort of like street style jazz funk, big, fast, energetic movement, just because it typically reads well, I find.
do you see it changing at all, or is it pretty consistent? Like those are the genres coming up.
That's a good question. Honestly, I'm not sure what the future will kind of project. I do think that there have been kind of even just little commercials that I've seen where there has been a little bit more like contemporary or modern that's been a little bit more evident. There's obviously the odd show that's very ballet focused or very modern focused. So there's always opportunities for any sort of dancer. Just I think I kind of seek out more of the hip hop is probably what happens.
So I have a curious question. Let's say if there is a dancer who, had her day, let's say a couple of generations ago, Fred Astaire, he had his day. He was tap
Mhm.
and he passes away. My mind would go, ooh, I'm going to look to see who's going to do a movie. Is that something that you would inquire with your agent about and go, if there's a movie on this particular person, then, you know, I guess would you be the stunt dancer to where you're technically trained? So obviously the actress may not be, and
Yeah.
they use you.
That's a really good question. I'll answer this in a couple different ways. First and foremost, it is definitely something that you can talk to an agent about. So, especially Clear Talent Group, when I sat down with them, they basically said, like, send us over your dream list, like what you asked me. And they said, if anything comes up with this choreographer, this artist, this particular anything, we will fight for you to make sure we give you the best possibility and best opportunity to book that. Um, and I definitely think it's possible to be like a dance double. I've actually done nothing like Fred Astaire in a movie, but I did a music video here in Canada where the lead actress in the music video wasn't as strong of a dancer, but they wanted it to have a dance feel. So I was actually her dance double, which it was my first time ever doing something like that. But it was kind of cool. So I definitely think there's a window for dancers to kind of work their way into, yeah, maybe a big movie role like that would be very cool. It's very common to dance double. So
Huh, that's awesome. So they
yeah.
did ask you, do you have a dream list? Wow.
Yeah, yes. I know. I need to get working on that. Everyone's asking me. I'm like, there's too many. I can't make one list.
There are a lot. Now, there's another project that I wanted to ask you about, and it's Casey and the Live, no, Casey Roberts and the Live Revolution. What is that?
Yeah, so again, a local Canadian, they're actually a 9-piece funk band. that I worked with several times, both as an assistant choreographer and as a lead dancer. So they're a lovely group. They're so talented. Definitely check out their music because it's so cool. It's so unique. And yeah, they're just super creative. Like any videos that I've worked on have been a ton of fun. I actually got to do one where they had two, it's called Electric Lovers. And the artistic direction they took was that it was about two robots who were falling in love. So I was one of two robots, and it was probably one of the coolest music videos that I've done just because of how creative and different it was. So there's someone who I've worked with who stands out in my mind just because of their kind of originality. I love that they're Canadian, and yeah, they're great.
So you were dancing as a robot?
I was dancing as a robot, not doing the robot. Don't picture that. But yeah, we had these like huge individualized helmets on. I had like paint so that it looked like I had robotic like arms and legs. Really hard to see in the helmet, really hard to breathe in the helmet. So it wasn't the most fun at the time, but it was a really cool experience, and it turned out really well. So
Wow. So how long do you prepare for something like that?
good question. I feel like typically a couple weeks. You're trying to get through like choreography, couple run throughs, just kind of figuring out where it's being shot, what the different takes are. But typically music videos are wrapped up pretty quick. So within a couple weeks, I would say.
All right. So as far as artists for music videos, what's your dream list there? Like, whose video do you want to be in?
Oh my gosh, I don't know. I've always thought that Chris Brown and all of his live performances and music videos, like the dancers are always so good. So that's definitely always been one, to name one.
And you've worked with a lot. I mean, I was reading off a whole bunch of artists here. I've got to go back to it because there were so many of them. But Jason Derulo was one of them. Help me out here.
Nick Jonas, I
Yes.
did. Sean Desmond, Danny Fernandez, Serena Ryder. Sean Desmond is another one that was actually a really cool experience. It was my very first audition and my very first professional dance job. So him and Luther Brown, who's a well-known choreographer, they took a chance on just a young 14-year-old girl. Again, have to shout out my sister because she dragged me to the audition, and I probably wouldn't have been even considered if it wasn't for her. But another really fun experience that kind of gave me my break and got my foot in the door to the dance industry.
Those are huge names. Nick Jonas, Jason Derulo. I mean, those are huge names. What is it like to be on their sets? I mean, do you have a favorite experience, or what were you? I mean, that's your first audition? What?
Yeah, honestly, anyone that I've worked with so far has been so lovely and down to earth and just like a normal human. So that's been really nice because you always worry that there's going to be egos and whatever else, and you're just a dancer, but that has not been my experience so far at all. Yeah, the Shiver audition, I was so nervous. I was so bad, I think. I don't know. Thinking back to it, my sister still makes fun of me because the song was called Shiver. And for some reason, I thought it was a really good idea. First time you're hearing this song, also, and you're freestyling to it. And I decided that I was going to go Shiver. And she still makes fun of me for it to this day. And you know what? I make fun of myself because it was bad. It was terrible, but it worked. So
What kind of reaction did you get from the people watching? Did you
they
see
were
it?
lovely. They were honestly really nice. I think I was just so in the zone that I didn't even realize I did it until after. And she was like, you know, that's what you did, right? And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm not going to hear back. You're going to book the job. I'm not going to book the job. And then, yeah, I think it was the next day we heard back, and I was so excited. So I think that was also the first time that I realized not to get hung up on every single audition or every single thing you do or mistake you make in an audition, because they might not have caught it, or maybe they thought it was cool, or it really didn't matter in the grand scheme of things. So
Absolutely. I mean,
yeah.
siblings, we are so tough on each other. We
Yes.
just,
And
I mean,
ourselves.
oh yeah. Oh, big time. So when you have nerves like that, what did you do, if anything, to try to overcome it? Do you have a meditation? Do you mentally take yourself somewhere else? What do you do?
Yeah, I think it kind of changes over the years. When I was younger, it was more so like pump up music and just hype myself up as much as I could and like freestyle on my own just so I feel ready to go. Whereas now that I'm older, I think I take more of a meditation approach where I put on like calming music and try to just center myself. I also think I've gotten better at not putting as much pressure on myself now that I've been through more auditions and more shows. Like, you still have the nerves and the butterflies and the excitement every time you step out onto the stage, but I think it's become more of like an excited just to get out there and do what I know I'm good at versus, oh my gosh, I don't want to make a mistake. Oh my gosh, what am I going to do? So I think with age and with a little bit more experience, it's gotten easier.
Sure, sure, absolutely. Oh my goodness. Yes. I think at some point, do you not fear the no so much? Like in the beginning, doesn't it feel like no is just crumbling, crushing your whole world? And then you realize there's other jobs out there. There's more opportunities out there.
Yeah, that's so well put. I I remember like the first few years, it was definitely really difficult
Mm.
hearing those no's in auditions and hearing you don't have the right look or you don't have the right style or whatever the reason might be. Sometimes you don't even get a reason and you make it up in your head. But yeah, with time, you put it so perfectly that you just kind of start to realize that okay, that's not the job for me. There's one right around the corner.
Exactly, exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that. Well, thank you so much. I've appreciated your time this evening. You've spent so much time with us, and just your calm nature about you. I think any dancer out there that's watching, especially young, up and coming, really has a lot to learn from you and to take away from
Oh,
this. And before I let you go this evening, I do have your information scrolling at the bottom, but tell us, how can
okay.
we follow you?
Yeah, you can follow me on Instagram. So that's it there, Julie_Karn. I'm also on IMDb, on Facebook, just with my name as well. And then you can obviously reach out to either of my agencies, DaCosta Talent in Canada or Clear Talent Group in LA. And Elizabeth, I just wanted to thank you so much for having me. It was such a pleasure speaking with you. You're so lovely. So thank you.
Oh, you're welcome anytime you'd like to come on to the show. This has been really, really nice to get to know you and meet you. And I
You
hope you have
too.
a wonderful evening, and we'll see you again soon.
Thank you. Yes, I look forward to it. And thank you, everyone, for your time.
Of course. Yes, we've had a lot of people saying hi. All right. Bye, Julie.
Bye.
Oh my goodness, everybody. Thank you so much for watching and being so interactive. It's wonderful to see all of you and your comments, and please keep them coming for all the rest of the shows to come in the future. As always, we are blessed. You are blessed. Mwah. I love you, and I will see you for another great show coming up. Take care. All right, we are